Hello, my friends. How are we doing today? It is a Tuesday after work. So there's scarf number 1. There's scarf number 2. Got our scarf joint butt blocks here. I guess I did lie. We're going to have some butt blocks, but they're just going to be for scarf joints and stringers. Here we go. Get a good squeeze out. Up here, I can feel it's still a little divot because there was a bolt that was running through here, but it only went like halfway down. But I backfilled that with epoxy. So we'll just have to backfill that a little bit more next time I mix up a batch. That's all good. All right, so let me set you up over here. I'll take the clamps off and see what we're working with. These look good. Yeah, there's no give on that piece anymore. So we do have to backfill some rotted bolt holes in the back side of this. But we don't need to do that yet because we are going to be taking off a lot of these midship upper planks because they're just a little bit too far gone on the outside for me to be comfortable doing these type of repairs. So I say we get this sanded down a bit. Not too bad. I don't really care if there's some epoxy coming over. It's all just going to be sanded down and repainted in red lead and with a couple top coats to something less toxic. Yeah. So it'll be all right to remove this plank behind there because once this is all rebuilt and shored up, we're not going to need a plank to mount the frame to. We can just bolt the frame to this. So I'm actually thinking just copper nailing in from the outside of the frame into the stringer instead of running bolts through. Maybe what to do with the planks behind the stringer will be fasten the frames to the stringer with nails or rivets, and then fasten the planks to the frame with silicon bronze screws. I think that might be what we'll go for. Then we're not through bolting anything all the way through into here. Yeah, I like that better. Keep everything better sealed up. All right, let's go on the other side and cut a piece of planking out and expose the outside of this. All right, so we're going to be removing a good section of this, probably all the way to this butt joint, and then beyond. And then we'll just scarf in over there and scarf in over there. But we'll cut in front of this frame, cut in front of this frame. So, what we got to do is fill all of these gaps. And there's a steel fastener in there I didn't even know about that I have to dig out. All right, I might get a chisel out around here, try to get the rest of that screw out, get all the really offending stuff out of there. All right, got the remains of that screw out. Down to epoxy in the back of that. And get some epoxy mixed up. Thinned first. We're going to give all that a good soaking, let it penetrate, and we'll put thickened on. And we'll actually give that unthickened epoxy a good chance to set. All right, that's about it. When this dries, we'll just give it a good sand. Doesn't have to look pretty, just has to work. And we can get on with reframing. All right, so I shut the camera off and then I realized I had a putty knife, so I went and smoothed it out a little bit, so that looks a little bit better. This just showed up. A gallon of linseed oil is 60 bucks at the hardware store and 30 something on Amazon. So what do I need a gallon of linseed oil for? Well, there's a hint. Alright, the next day, this is all, epoxy's all cured on this side. Got the 40 grit flap wheel on here. we're just gonna give it a quick sand. And I'm not terribly concerned about the places in between the frames. Just gonna give it a good little bit of a sanding. And then we can just slap some ye old timey primer on there. And that'll be ready to take a frame. That's as sanded as it's gonna get. It's back to bare wood. All the unnecessary epoxy's off. Next step, I am gonna get some red lead primer made up. Before I put the frame, I'll just paint right here. So my plan is to, I don't know if I already went over this, but my plan is to just remove the 3 top planks. I mean, it'll be as I go, but I want to be able to access the stringer. I want to shore it up at each frame, so I don't have to worry about it. This is by far going to be the worst area because obviously there's a failed scarf. Same with on the other side. All right, so I'm refitting some of the blown out pieces of wood down in the hull here. Next frame I do, we're gonna do a bit better to try to minimize blowout. I'll just give you a demo here. Take a Forstner bit, cheap Harbor Freight one. I'm not gonna use my good Diablo ones, but just we're gonna stick it on the bung and just drill out the bung until we get to the old screw. And then it'll be much less likely to blow out. And then we can get better, easier repairs. But, you know, lesson learned, as we go along with these new things, we develop systems, all that good stuff. So, but right now, I've got this piece, big blown out piece. I'm just fitting both the lozenge and the backside of the blown out piece, hoping to get a pretty decent fit on there. Then we can just epoxy this back on. I have a few more blown out pieces here. Gotta figure out where they all go. We are gonna be doing a lot of epoxy filling on this one, which I don't necessarily like that, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's get on with it. Yeah. Alright, we're getting somewhere. I've got these little brass screws, so I'm just going to do pilot drilling. And that, I'll probably put one back here, one up here, one here, and one over here. And then we'll prime and epoxy everything. And then screw it down with the brass screws, because there ain't no way I'm getting a clamp on there. And I'm not sinking screws to put a batten over it on the outside of the boat, because then that's just more epoxy filling I have to do, so it kind of defeats the point. Oh, here's another one that was on the ground. Got a little machinist pilot drill here, because I don't have a small enough countersink. I want these to be recessed a little bit. That's all fit. Let's figure out where all these other ones go. All right. Got these temporarily in place. All right, so I'm gonna mix up some epoxy and we'll get these set. And then maybe I'll have some left over to do some fairing on the other holes. And hopefully soon we can get this frame in. Alright, so this area right here, I think there was one of those brace blocks behind here. They're not here. So what I'm going to do is vacuum out all this dust here, and I'm going to tape over with packing tape, and then I'm going to put epoxy in a bag and inject it from the back. Hopefully that works. Just going to sand real quick, get all the paint off of here. Yeah, because I don't want to put a lozenge in from either side because it's not backed up by a frame right here. I'm just going to get my reefing hook so I can have that caulking out of there. That out of there so it doesn't get glued in place. All right, so I'm going to get epoxy mixed up, and I'm going to prime all this. I'll get it taped up, and then I'll catch up back up with you guys on the other side, and we'll squeeze the epoxy in with a bag. All right, so the areas in question here are right here. We're going to inject epoxy down into here. We'll have it taped over on the other side, and then I'm just going to prime and fill in this area too, because that's kind of squirrely. And then once this frame goes, then we can address what's underneath there. But for now, we'll just get this cleaned up. All right, got it primed and taped up, packing tape on the other side. Let's get it primed here. Bag there. So this looks like it's the last of my hardener, so we're gonna need to get some more, place another order with Jamestown Distributors. I'm gonna do the, this is the Fast Cure epoxy, because I had gotten it during the winter time, and summertime, this stuff kicks pretty quick, so. Some like impromptu fixo action going on here. All right, and that's about it. It's a wrap for that, but all that stuff is filled in. I'll take you down and show you it from the outside. All right, here it is. We got the packing tape over it. It's a nice barrier. Looks like we have a little bit of an air void there, so.
Okay.
There we go.
Have Rosie sit?
Oh, yeah. That worked out great. All right, so I'll pull this packing tape once it starts to get tacky. I did prime this knot with some unthickened, which we'll just let penetrate. This is already hard. These are still a little bit tacky, but that's why I reordered epoxy, but instead of getting the traditional stuff with the fast hardener, I got their performance epoxy, which has some flex to it, so it's better for wooden boats, because obviously there's a lot of flex. And I got the slow hardener. So I got a gallon kit coming, so we'll have plenty. And I got some actual plastic epoxy spreaders too, so I don't have to use my stupid putty knife. So awesome. All right, so I'm gonna get to plumbing in the steam box for the new boiler. So this is our new boiler, 5-gallon steel gas can. I've salvaged a piece of 3/4 inch copper pipe out of my old baseboard heating system that's been defunct for years. So we're gonna cut up some pipe. I've got into the hardware store about an elbow fitting and 2 threaded end fittings. One of these is gonna go in the bottom of the steam box, and the other one, I'm gonna take a step drill and drill into the top of this and just kind of jam that down in there. So let's get to it. We're gonna have 2.5 feet from the nipple here to the other one. So we'll measure from the center of this 2.5 feet, and I'll cut it. copper pipe cutter. And the steam box is going to be mounted somewhere around here. I'm going to use 2x4s to build a frame and another piece of this pine to put on top here. All right, let me try to drill out that can. Look at that, we can just thread that right on there. I think we do 6 inches, that'll suffice. Clean up these a little bit of the stuff there. Alright, that's what that's going to look like. These nipples are not going to be soldered on. I'll probably solder this. Yeah, the spout here, that's going to be our water fill. And then this is going to be our steam outlet. And then we'll just thread this into the bottom of the steam box. In the meantime, that's some flux. I'm going to attempt to solder this on here. Right. I was quite doubtful that would work, but you can see, looks like that's a success. All right, we'll let that cool down and see you in a second. All right, so a vestigial element to this having been a heating system component, we have a drain plug socket here. I don't have the cap for it. I'm gonna bore it out with a number 7 drill and run a 1/4 tap through it, and I've got a little 1/4 stainless bolt that I can put in there. And this will get threaded into the bottom of the steam box, and then this will just friction fit here, and that'll also friction fit there, so I can just take this part off. Nice. I think it was like $9 for the fittings, so doing good on that front too. All right, let's cut up some lumber to make the stand for the box. That old skill saw's got some balls. This is some sort of hardwood from pallets at work. All right, the steam box up here. I miscalculated a bit this, so we're gonna have to get a coupler and add more pipe to this. We'll need a little less than 8 inches of pipe. So for right now, I'm gonna determine where I'm gonna put the nipple. I've got a frame in here, so I'm gonna take that out. I think I'm going to put it between these two pegs here. Alright, this is what it's going to look like. We just need to couple on another piece, remove these plants in the table, feed frames in from here. And then I can have the little electric steamer down here, feeding into there. Nice. All right, so there's actually a coupler on this pipe, and this is 6 3/8 from the end of it to the knuckle. I think I can just melt the solder out of this thing and pull it apart. Nice. Okay, cool. All right, we'll let this cool down. I'll sand it down, add some flux and we'll solder that to this. All right, so not perfect, but good enough for my purposes. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week, and it certainly was a jam-packed episode, I think. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and you're not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below. And if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, go ahead and click that little bell icon next to it. If you like the video, go ahead and click that little thumbs up button. That really helps. And go ahead and post a comment if you want to. If you think you have friends and family who might like these videos, go ahead and share them around. That's always appreciated as well. So if you would like to support the channel financially, probably the most important aspect of the whole thing. You might not know, but this takes up a lot of time out of my week. It probably takes me about 20 hours to do all the video production, editing, all of that. It's not as if it's not labor intensive. It's a lot of work, in addition to my full-time job and working on the boat. So any contributions on that Patreon page, linked down below, would be greatly appreciated. On that note, I have started posting exclusive content over there. I've got a video with a real-time update, which will give you a peek of what's coming in the next week's episode. And I'll periodically post those if I can get enough backlogged footage and get enough time to get a jump on the episode so I have a backlog of finished episodes a week in advance. I will start making those available to Patreon supporters. But I'm not at that point yet. Hopefully in the future that'll come. But for now, real-time updates and other exclusive content that I'll figure out soon will be posted on the Patreon page. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for next week. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. I'm not going to put too many spoilers out. Again, if you want to know more about what's coming next week, go ahead over to the Patreon page. It's only $5 a month, and you'll get that info. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next week.